quickly on page 83. No, not page 83, on page 86 of Book 4. And that is the composite resolution by NUM, by teachers, and by Nahau, as set out on page 1.5. As set out on page 15 of Book 1, under Resolution 1.9, adequately addresses the matter. Now, 1.9 is our primary resolution. In the Resolutions Committee, we understand that there has been some panel beating that has taken place, and that panel beating is now reflected in what we thought would be a composite between SABC and SATU, as set out on page 86, but we see that the SATU name has been omitted. Nevertheless, we'd still like to put that forward. So in summary, Chair, on page 15, Resolution 1.9, you see SACTU's resolution on civil society. We think it's still the correct resolution, but we do take into account that there's been engagement in the Resolutions Committee, and that engagement is reflected on page 86 of Book 4 under Resolution 1.6. The only amendment that we'd like to make to that work that has come out of the Resolutions Committee is under the resolve part on page 86, A, that there should be a full stop after the words modus operandi. On B, the last sentence in brackets, or the phrase in brackets, which says the immediate above can replace this line, that should be deleted. And then, of course, we draw the attention to the Congress at under point C that we envisage that the main task of this civil society working together going forward would be our mobilization for the implementation of the NHI, and we are very pleased that the General Secretary of the SACP has called for that earlier. President, that is SACTU's summary input on the political matters.
Thank you very much, SACTU. I want to, before I call forward a pop crew, ask that those who are controlling the aircon, yes, it is very hot here, but at the same time, the noise coming from there is a challenge. If that could be sorted, the noise from the aircon, and the resolutions or comrades who are at the Secretariat this side have asked that whilst comrades do their presentation here, just like SACTU has done, but they also send, if it's a written resolution or proposal, they can send it to the team there. 3, sound people. There's an echo. If you can deal with that, it will be great, so that we can only speak once and not repeat ourselves through the echo. I want to also acknowledge from the work that the GS was doing yesterday, the presence of from Satuk Executive, Comrade Grietel Elias, if I'm calling it correctly, or it's Elias, but we have a representative from Satuk, and we acknowledge your presence from Botswana. We do acknowledge that. I hope the comrade is inside the house. I can see, thanks very much. We profusely apologize for not doing that yesterday. Can we allow Pop Crew to take the platform? Is Pop Crew here now? Pop Crew is covered. Thank you very much. Satu, teachers, are you here?
Asibonge Mongameli. We want to touch on the international balance of forces, Mongameli, as part of the discussion of the political report for now, but also we'll want to come back on other motions because we'll prefer that we discuss motion by motion. Hence, Mongameli, we want to refer Congress to Book 4 of the resolutions, page 80. We want to speak to that resolution sponsored by Satu and Nehau. We want the President to start by first welcoming the report. We want to note and welcome the political report as presented. And we do want to agree with the report of the General Secretary in that, indeed, the workers and the working class internationally is pushed backwards and is on the back foot because conditions of the working class and the workers continue to deteriorate globally. And it's a challenge that has been noted by the report, and we agree with it. Comrade President, we also want to agree with the report and what was raised by the NUM before we go for lunch about the election of Donald Trump and the chaos that has created in the world. And coupled with that, as we agree and not intending to report what the NUM was saying, is the emergence of the right-wing narrow nationalist in many countries in the world. We are observing a situation wherein the capitalists, particularly from the West, will ensure that they deal with all the left-orientated governments and ensure that they instill their right-wing narrow nationalists. The Congress will note what will have happened in Venezuela, Brazil, Chile, Libya, Finland, Sweden, France, and many other countries. And I will not want to dwell on that because of time, Comrade President. And also coupled with that is racism. Internationally, that is now being formalized once again. You will recall that at some point, the United Nations declared racism as a criminal act against humanity. However, we see the Trump-led lunatism that NUM spoke about earlier on, resuscitating racism globally. Whether you talk about America becoming great again, or you talk about the support of Israel by America against the people of Gain, or you talk about the support of Israel by America against the people of Palestine. And it's a challenge that we are experiencing global, Comrade President. We also, on the same note, will want to support NUM on our support for Palestine. That as Cosatu, we strengthen and deepen our campaigns against Palestine. It is even worse for us as education workers, President, because children of Palestine can't even go to school properly because of the atrocities that Israel is doing to the people of Palestine. And we want to ensure that as Cosatu, we revive and deepen our campaigns in support of Palestine. President, even go to an extent of mobilizing our own government to provide resources to people of Palestine to defend their country, to defend their sovereignty, as well as to defend themselves against Israel. We are also noting the influence that the rating agencies is having in the developing countries, without sparing ourselves as a country, South Africa, because like they were even involved on simple things as negotiations to say that you can't give so much to public service, you must cut on social spending, cut on social bill and what have you. Even this thing of 30,000 workers from the public sector, it comes from the influence of the international balance of forces. They may deny it on the podium that they are not going to retrench 30,000 workers, but we know that cabinet is discussing this. Whether they are going to sugarcoat it, politically decorate it, but we see Bretton Woods institution or rating agencies influencing even our countries in terms of social spending and even talking about ballooning of the wage bill. We also want to note, President, the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution. I think the party also spoke to this morning, and we do agree with the party that we need workshops, we need political education around this fourth industrial revolution and its influence on the future of work, particularly decent work, because our belief is that the fourth industrial revolution will not benefit workers except the Western countries, particularly the USA. Therefore, President, we do want to present our motion on page 81, on page 80 to 81, to say we want to present them as they are, President, so that I don't read those bullet points that we are presenting. But we want to emphasize on what the party will have said, which is not captured there in the resolution, in terms of political school on fourth industrial revolution in relation to the future of decent work. We also want to support what NUM said, Comrade President, in terms of international work and solidarity, particularly working with unions from Cuba and other progressive unions across the world. And lastly, President, is to ensure that the Congress resolve in terms of strengthening and reaffirming our support for Swaziland, particularly to endorse the positions and the campaign against the forced evictions that are taking place in Swaziland, affecting the most marginalized rural communities in Swaziland. We want to ensure that we as a Congress, we resolve to ensure that we support Swaziland and strengthen our campaigns against that oppressive monarchy in Swaziland. However, President, as I've indicated, we want to present all those resolves without actually going through them again. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you, Satu. Comrades, there's an appeal on a health and safety matter. In the bathrooms that side, there is always at least one that is set aside for comrades with physical disabilities. May we appeal to Congress to respect that. Those who are not supposed to use those ones should allow them for comrades that are supposed to use them. Nyang, understand? Please, let's ensure when we go that side we respect that. I will call upon Limusa, then Pope Group, because I'm told you're saying you're ready. Limusa.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. Comrade President, firstly, we want to touch on the issue of Donald Trump. Comrade President, we think it is important as this Congress of the Federation to pronounce that Donald Trump is not the mini God. Donald Trump and the America cannot want us to do things as they wish all the time. We are not sub-countries of America. And therefore, what he has been saying or what he has said on the issue of land expropriation without compensation must be rejected with contempt. Comrade President, we also want to touch on the issue of the loans that we get as the country from other countries. We think it is important for the country and the leadership to focus on the growth of the economy in South Africa. But we know that even in other countries, there is an experience that once you get loans from one country, then that country wants to control you. And therefore, we are talking specifically to the issue of China, to say we appreciate the efforts that are being made, but let us be careful that whatever that we do does not compromise the independence of the country. We want to talk, President, also to the issue of state power. It's important that we deal with this matter so that, because I know that one of our alliance partners, the South African Communist Party, has the resolutions on this matter. And it is important that as this Congress, we don't run away from debating this issue. As Limusa, President, our feeling is that the unity of this alliance is sacrosanct now than ever before. And President, we think that it is important also for the ANC to appreciate that we don't like this thing of big brothers in the alliance. We've been saying this all the time, and we are still saying it even now. The African National Congress is not the big brother in the alliance. So the reconfiguration of the alliance is what we think will assist all of us. And President, we think that if the African National Congress continue with its arrogance. We also need to debate the issue as resolved by the South African National Congress, the South African Communist Party. Because we can't be always go to the ANC as if we are beggars. We appreciate that after NASREC, there's been changes. We know that the leadership of the alliance now meets and so forth. But these meetings that takes place will not assist us if we don't see any changes insofar as how things are happening. The new dawn for us does not mean sitting on boardrooms and have more and more meetings without any changes. We think we are happy, Comrade President, now that we have one of our own, uComrade Umphephetwa lapha kwezentila sport. The issue of e-tolls, Comrade President, Umphephetwa must also assist us. Ngimzwile nje ebiza amandla lapha washo nokuthi phansi ngama-labor brokers. Wayisho ne-e-toll. So we are saying, President, it's important that we know that it's not him as an individual who will scrap this thing, but we think it's assisting us as the working class, ukuthi Umphephetwa sekalapha. So it's really important that we appeal to the minister to push this thing of scrapping e-tolls because asiyifuni. Comrade President, next year we are going towards the general elections. We are saddened about the infightings that we see in the African National Congress. And the African National Congress, as the leader of the alliance, ayikwazi ukuthi njalo nje abantu bayahlupheka bayalwa bona. Siyaretrenchwa bayalwa bona. Siyagxothwa bayalwa bona. It can't be correct. This is not the African National Congress that we want. We want the African National Congress that will focus on changing the lives of our people. Comrade President, the factionalism that is taking place in the African National Congress is not assisting us. When this alliance, or when alliance partners decided to form this alliance, it was not because we wanted to be part of certain faction in the ANC. We became in the alliance with the ANC and not with the faction. And therefore, we really need to plead with these comrades not to try and use Cosatu, the SACP, Sanko, in their factional battles. And that we understand that, President, even in the branches of the African National Congress, once you get in there, in some branches wearing your Cosatu t-shirt.
5 minutes rule, Lemusa.
As I wrap up, President, kunzima nanokuthi ukhonjwe ngesandla xa unxiba iskipa seCosatu. So we think it's important that we make sure that as Cosatu as well, in our views and the manner in which we are articulating our views, we try to have, and if we have criticism to the ANC, we try to have those criticism in the manner that is constructive, but not be ashamed or apologetic of having our views as an independent partner in this alliance. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much, Limusa. Pop Crew.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. President, firstly, we want to indicate that as Pop Crew, we agree with the thrust of the resolutions as submitted by different affiliates on the political matters. Safe to say that we just wanted to make an emphasis on the international report that we don't think that Cosatu must rehash a program on pledging solidarity with Swaziland. We should rather say that we have had a program. Let us look at what has hampered that program to come to fruition and then be able to correct that, rather than saying that we must develop a new program. But also as Popru President, we feel that we are running far away from our members, that they seem not to understand what solidarity really means and what is expected of them. And therefore, would suggest that as we agree as Congress on the political education, the part of international solidarity must also find resonance in that political school, Comrade President. Now, we want to just pick on some few issues that would have been raised, particularly by speakers here, Comrade President. The first thing, the President of the African National Congress, when he addressed Congress yesterday, said ANC is not necessarily vehemently opposed to the reconfiguration of the alliance, and therefore discussions must ensue in earnest in that regard. The General Secretary of the South African Communist Party also indicated that this alliance is no longer relevant today, and therefore the only way for us to make it relevant is if we reconfigure it. And Cosatu is singing from the hymn book. The question is, what then is a problem? Why can't therefore we reconfigure the alliance? Because all alliance partners are in agreement that there is a need to reconfigure it. Now we want to then firmly propose, President, that before we move into the general election, the Alliance Summit should have met and deal with this matter, so that at least at that time, some sort of progress is reported. So we're putting timelines now. We have discussed, indeed we're agreeing with the General Secretary of Cosatu that in 2012, Cosatu was quite clear on this matter, even if we called it Alliance Pact, but we have not moved an inch. We're here again, we're all singing from the same hymn book, but it is ourselves who seems not to be able to address this matter. The second thing that we want to take from the inputs of the alliance leaders is on the so-called plot to eliminate or to take out the President of the African National Congress. Now we think it will be remiss of this Congress, Comrade President, Cosatu having been bold when it was not fashionable to do so at that time, to support the candidature of Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa as the president of the African National Congress. And then we are here in Congress, we are told that there is the applause that are taking place in our country to deal with the president that the workers have chosen. We therefore, Comrade President, want to implore on the alliance that this matter be treated as a matter of urgency, because we are of the view that we can't go to the 2019 general election with this matter hanging on our heads. If it's a myth, it must be indicated that it is a myth, but if it is a reality, obviously those who are behind this shameless deed must be identified and isolated. Comrade President, we said we agree as we wrap up, but perhaps what we want to do is to put a bit of context in our discussion on the report. Whilst we agree with the thrust of the political report in general, that the context that we want to put, Comrade President, is that the problem is that as a class, we have allowed anti-revolutionaries to interpret the revolution for ourselves. And that's what seems to be our downfall. So as we move out of this Congress, we must know that as the working class, our responsibility is to interpret this revolution and how we want it to be pursued and not to rely on any other person. Secondly, Comrade President, we want to move from the premise that says that the revolution exists, Comrade President, precisely because the working class is revolting against a particular class, and that is a capitalist system. So that's what we want to, as we engage, as we move, as we put our resolutions into action, we must understand from that point of view, Comrade President, that at all material times, Comrade President, the working class perspective must be at the forefront of what we are thinking. Because we are saying this because sometimes we are of the view that we seem to glorify the capitalist system, such that those of us who are new in the revolution begin to think that the capitalist system is the way to go, only to find that that is not necessarily the case, Comrade President. So,
5 minutes rule.
So, Comrade President, as we conclude, we want to appreciate that the working class, as it is explicitly explained, is the primary motive force of the revolution. But perhaps what we need to ask ourselves is that what is that primary motive? And that is something that we think as we move forward we could be able to respond to, because I would not be able to do that because of time. We wanted to touch also on the ANC and to understand, Comrade President, the challenges faced by the ANC, that in its current form, we are of the view that it is not pushing the interest of the class which we think it must be able to push. And as the working class, we must not shy away from raising this reality, so that from time to time we are not left wanting and we are fed with crumbs at the dinner table. We thank you, President.
I thank you very much, Pope Crew. Sakau. After Sakau, Nhau will be called upon, then we try to check whether we have done progress on those areas.
No, thanks, President. Firstly, we want to share our views on 1.4 on the reconfiguration of the alliance. Firstly, we support the spirit of the resolution. We think that we should add mass mobilization as one of the factors that should unify the alliance. We can't rely on the eloquence of leaders in driving this revolution. That's one point. We have a problem, comrades, with point number C under the resolve. Maybe those who sponsored this resolution should clarify what is meant by that point. It reads, Cosatu and SABC should engage the ANC on establishing a minimum quota in its leadership structures for SABC and Cosatu cadres at all levels as a minimum requirement. Our understanding is that the branch is the basic unit of the organization in the case of the ANC. Then if you have this minimum quota, how will it work in practice? That's a point that we want to raise. We also support resolution number 1.5 on the 2019 general elections. We think we should be very clear as Cosatu that we are campaigning for a decisive ANC victory in the 2019 elections. We should not confuse our members by referring to other processes on this part. It should be very clear. In that context, Comrade President, we think that we should emphasize the manifesto. Fortunately, you have got your book 2. On page 111, there are priority manifestos for 2019. We think that we should support this resolution, including those priorities that are outlined there. Thanks, President.
Nehao, take the platform.
Thanks, President. We want to start by emphasizing the point that we as workers or as a class, we should, unlike others, should understand the National Democratic Revolution within the context of our perspective as a class. And this class must be the working class. So it means, President, we should not limit the understanding of the motive force purely only at the level of those who stand to benefit, but rather to also indicate that as a class we stand to lose the most if this National Democratic Revolution is not pursued to its logical conclusion. Hence, Cosatu and the party should not ask permission from the ANC in taking full responsibility for this National Democratic Revolution. That's the first point. Second, President, we want to come to state power vis-a-vis the national general elections. We want to propose, President, that on page 8, 1.5 should be removed completely so that that resolution doesn't become a stand-alone resolution, because if it's read separately, as the case now, is going to create confusion in as far as what message are we sending in relation to elections and the state power. And we have spoken to the sponsors of this resolution. We think that, President, we must live with a bullet before the last, which clarifies that Cosatu reaffirms its position to support the ANC in 2019. But the overall trust, where it's located, must remain as it is, except two bullets. Bullet number 4, that suggests that upon the party being conclusive in terms of finalizing modalities, consulting as clarified by the resolution, and having convened in the special Congress, Cosatu doesn't have to convene, it doesn't have to convene a special Congress, because the term of office of Cosatu is 3 years. So there's a Congress coming in between these elections, that 2019, and the next election. So we suggest that we must remove that. Also, we remove the last point where it says we must appoint a political task team, because the first resolution suggests that there has to be serious and robust discussion between the party and Cosatu on this resolution. The other point that we are coming to, President, is on the reconfiguration of the alliance. The entry point, President, that we want to make might sound controversial, particularly to Comrade Kwede, but I think that is a necessary thing to do. That we should not create an assumption or an impression that this alliance is a permanent alliance. It's not permanent. Given the nature of the revolution that we are pursuing, because we are of socialism, ANC is of a national democratic society. At a particular point in time, we might not have an alliance completely, because ANC is not intending to take us to socialism. So there will be a point where ANC will have to take its own side as we turn left towards socialism. And we're raising that point because there's a wrong assumption that ANC has a monopoly of leadership over this alliance. And we disagree with that. Precisely because this is an alliance of equals and the alliance of independent organizations, which separately or independently, they have their own decision-making processes. It can be a big brother syndrome, because ANC somewhere has taken a decision, therefore the party and Cosatu must nullify their own decision. Decisions taken by this independent organization must be respected by the alliance, and we must win each other over the decision that we have taken. It can't be the situation where we come to Congress of Cosatu, take decisions, and these decisions be reversed or undermined by the ANC if you are in the alliance. So the reconfigured alliance that we are talking about is an alliance of respect, is an alliance of equal partners, is an alliance that must learn to influence each other and win each other over, not a bully tactic kind of an alliance. We are sick and tired of a big brother syndrome. We are really sick and tired of it, because this revolution places the working class as a primary motive force. Therefore, the vanguard at all material times must play its vanguardism over that class. So the party at some point had to recognize that, so that with the frustration of the functional alliance, it must know that it has a responsibility to lead this alliance. Thank you very much.
Sadu. Teachers.
Thank you, President. I'm rising just to emphasize some points on the reconfiguration of the alliance, as well as on the issue of the South African Communist Party, the state and popular power. That as SATU, we understand the resolution of the 14th Congress of the South African Communist Party. And we are coming to Congress to say, let's allow the South African Communist Party to engage with all the processes as outlined in the resolution. But we also want to remind Cosatu in this Congress that it is not for the first time that we are engaging on this issue of the SACP and the state power. In our 9th Congress, in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, we resolved on this issue, but also went as far as to say, because of what was happening in the alliance, there is a need to review how the alliance is structured. We resolved on the alliance pact. And the question that we must be asking ourselves here is, what happened to that pact? And I want to remind Congress that the African National Congress rejected the pact. The pact came as a resolution of Cosatu mainly because Cosatu wanted to democratize the alliance in terms of the policies, in terms of everything that is the mandate of the alliance, so as to avoid what Nehau was talking about, the issue of the big brother attitude. We're raising this because as we support the reconfiguration of the alliance, it must be the radical reconfiguration of the alliance, which will give a platform for alliance partners to respect each other as organizations, independent organizations, and organizations that are equals. And in the process of doing that, having the radical reconfiguration of the alliance, which we want to support, to say, when it comes to the contestation of the elections, as advised by Joe Slovo, to say, in attending to the current situations, you don't have to ignore the future. Let's support the African National Congress in 2019. And in the process, we work on building the unity of the left axis, the Popular Front, as the SACP is saying in its resolution. But we must be also very clear and put it clearly that when we talk of the reconfiguration of the alliance, we believe that it is high time for Cosatu not to issue blank checks. Blank checks have allowed the humiliation of the leadership of Cosatu as well as the leadership of the Communist Party and SANCO, those who from time to time get deployed and rejected in the process through these reshuffling processes. President, as Cosatu in this Congress, and I think that Limusa was able to raise it to say, Cosatu from now onwards, funeka siyeke ukuvumela ukuthi basibe yithuluzi lama elections, and then after elections we are just thrown out like chewing gum. As we will not be issuing a blank check, we must also be able to say, as we support the African National Congress in the upcoming elections, as we build the Popular Front in the process, the ANC itself must unite and be committed on its resolve on building internal unity, so that the society that it claims to lead must be united. And in the process of doing that, following on Pop Crew as well as Limusa, I think Nenehau, as such we want to denounce, and we want to denounce if it is true that there are people who are plotting against a democratically elected leadership. And we also want to denounce these special NGC seekers. And we want to label them as opportunists. And And if that can happen, Cosatu must resolve and also lobby SACP to convene special conferences or congresses to determine and decide on the future if those opportunities within the ANC can succeed in dividing the African National Congress. We are saying this because we are becoming practical now. We need the alliance that is reconfigured, that has a practical program, program of changing the status quo in terms of the socio-economic challenges facing the working class. By the way, in 1984, the South African Communist Party said it seeks to see one united state of people's power in which the working class will be a dominant force, and which will move uninterruptedly towards social and economic emancipation and the abolition of exploitation of man by another man. That is what the Communist Party was saying in 1984. And today the working class is at its worst. Hence the frustration that is leading the working class to say, by the way, Communist Party, you are the political party, and any political party is for the popular power and the state power. And that is why we want to denounce those who think that the Communist Party is becoming opportunist when it is resolving on contesting elections. The issue of state power and popular front is as old as the Communist Party itself, as a political party in search of socialism. So in building socialism, as Cosatu, let's support the South African Communist Party, allow the South African Communist Party to engage in the processes as outlined in the resolution, as we said. We support the reconfiguration, radical reconfiguration of the alliance. We support that. We must support the African National Congress in the upcoming elections in 2019, but we must never issue the blank check again. Otherwise, the working class will not see the light of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers. Thank you very much. Is it SAC2? Yeah.
President, thank you for the opportunity to take stock of
Dinosa
where the
will
debate
follow
is.
soon after.
Thank you for the opportunity to take stock where the debate is now on the issue of politics, and as it is now condensing in decisions of the Congress as enshrined in the resolutions that are now being adopted, being discussed for adoption. There has been quite a radical change in the manner in which the decisions of the Congress or the decisions that are being placed in front of the Congress is now being articulated. So it's important that we try to marry the different positions that have been taken in the run-up to the moment where we are now in this debate. I'll just take 2 or 3 of the key issues. The first big change, of course, is that the sponsors of Resolution 1.5, which is set out on page 86, have withdrawn their resolution. So that we need to take into account, and instead, as we understand it, they have said that that point B under the resolve should be consumed or should be incorporated under Resolution 1.3, which speaks about the matter of state and popular power. So having accepted that reality, what we need to do to bring all the affiliates on board, and the manner in which I think the various affiliates have articulated their issues, listening to Sakal, listening to us, listening to Nahawu, listening to others, is to go then to the resolve part of resolution number 1.3, accepting the deletions that the comrades have made, and just for the clarity and our sanity, resolution resolve part, bullet 4 and bullet 6 have been deleted. Then, if we go to the new bullet 4, we're now on page 85, President. And if you look at the first bullet point on page 85, which now in the reconfigured resolve is the new bullet point 4, that what is required in order to capture the clarity as we move towards a decisive victory in the general elections for 2019 that needs to be brought about is a reorganization of bullet point 4. So, how should that be done? Our recommendation is that it be done by splitting up the sentiments that is currently enshrined in the new bullet 4 in the following manner: that we should delete the words "in the meantime," that we should delete the word "should," that there should be a bullet point after a bullet after national general elections, and that the latter part of that whole bullet point be a standalone bullet point. In summary, it will then read as follows: Cosatu reaffirms its position to support the African National Congress in the 2019 general elections, full stop. New bullet point: Cosatu will continue working with the SACP in building a popular left movement through a joint program to mobilize the working class around its resolution and theoretically clarify its revolutionary basis. That, we think, is a fair way to accommodate all our interests so that it's clear and not ambiguous on how we will deal with the ANC, and it is also clear that we have a medium to long-term vision in our working together with the vanguard. The final matter that we'd like to raise, President, is to agree with what Sakao has raised in Resolution 1.4. When we look at the reconfiguration of the alliance, and we specifically focus on the resolve part of that resolution, the point C in that resolution is not appropriate for the reasons that Sakao's articulated, but also for additional reasons other than just that these matters are determined in our branches. It is also for a second reason, and that is that the reconfiguration of the alliance should not be construed as having its ultimate and only objective about how we carve up the cake around deployments. That would be completely wrong. And then secondly, or a third reason, besides the first reason that Sakao has mentioned, is the whole issue of the independence of the formations within the tripartite alliance. It cannot be correct that it be then put in the manner that it is here without recognizing that we also function as independent formations located within the tripartite alliance. So, Chair, President, what are we saying? The right thing to do is for the sponsors to drop point C from Resolution 1.4.
Thank you, Saktu. Namaning Robilenj. You robbed me in a way, and I would urge that comrades must raise their flags so that I identify them, so that I identify them. Dinosa. ANC will follow soon after Dinosa.
Thank you very much, President. As Dinosa President, firstly, we rise to support SATU on the issue of saying it is high time that we've been giving blank checks to the African National Congress. We feel that it must begin to take us serious and address issues of workers, because we've run a number of campaigns, but we've never seen an intervention that seeks to address these issues that we're raising. We are also supporting comrades that have spoken on the issue of the reconfiguration of the alliance. We think that is long overdue also, President. Because when you look where we're coming from, we have worked hard to be where we are. But in terms of critical decision making, were not part of that process, and we think that the alliance should be the center of decision making. On the issue of the manifesto, President, for 2019, firstly, we are supporting comrades that we need to support the ANC, work to ensure that the ANC merges in 2019. But as we do that, President, we want to pronounce it that we want that manifesto to cater for the issues of the workers and the working class. That manifesto must be able to pronounce on the campaigns that we're having as Cosatu. It must be able to address the issues of e-tolls, the labor brokers, very clear, not cosmetic, very clear. Issues of NHI, issues of safety at workplace, because our workers are being attacked at workplace, employers are failing to protect our workers. You go to mines, workers are attacked. It's not safe. You go to schools. Recently, a student has stabbed a teacher in schools. That says that as workers we are not safety in facilities. But as we move forward, President, we are saying the African National Congress must be able to address the issue of infights inside itself, so that it can be able to lead this alliance going forward. Lastly, President, we want to support the adoption of the political resolutions as proposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dinosa, ANC.
Thank you very much, Comrade President, for giving the ANC, the guests, an opportunity to speak. One, I think when we discuss these things, it is important to anchor them in our theoretical framework that we developed over many years. First one is that the ANC is the leader of the alliance in pursuit of the National Democratic Revolution. I'm assuming that the Revolutionary Working Class Party, the Communist Party, will lead the socialist phase of the revolution. Any other shortcut is going to lead us to a cul-de-sac. Secondly, the alliance is not permanent, I accept that, but we should not undermine ourselves when we are still in the alliance by being half-hearted about what we say about ourselves. We can't speak from both sides of the mouth. What we say must be concrete, it must be clear, it must not need lawyers for interpretation. If we believe that the alliance has come it has outlived its usefulness, the alliance partners must come up front and discuss that. And must be candid with one another and say the alliance has come to the end of its usefulness. We need something else. Do we need coalitions? Do we need anything? Do we want to split altogether? We should be upfront with that discussion, because if it is not, we're not clear, it is going to bump into us by accident. What would we replace it with? We should be clear. We want to replace this alliance with what? Now, my understanding of a progressive trade union movement like Cosatu is that it is the political school for communism. Now let me put my emphasis. It is the political school for the revolution. And this federation has done that consistently over the years. I don't know if many of us in this room understand that Cyril Ramaphosa is the second president who comes out of this federation. Now, if we can give you the list of many ministers who come out of the ranks of the federation, who have been in various cabinets of various presidents, I'm sure we'll be shocked. I'm not talking about the army of MPs for the movement. So until we do that analysis, we're going to use terms that do not exist: blank slate, blank check, blank slate. It's the same thing, something that where there's nothing written on it. We must be clear and unambiguous about the support for the ANC in the 2019 elections and not be conditional or half-hearted about it. Because if we're half-hearted, we're leaving a back window open for confusion and our enemies. Let me give you one thing about the myth of a blank check. It's a myth. It is this federation fighting for e-labor brokers to be discontinued. That led to a legislation that limited temporary work to 3 months. But this federation never took ownership of that victory until it gave to NUMSA as a gift when NUMSA went to court and challenged that issue. And therefore NUMSA, it was written, I remember the headline, NUMSA's breakthrough. This federation didn't own it. I can give you a list of them. You can go to the minimum wage. You allowed all the other federations to claim victory. We're the last to own that resolution. As a mine worker, of course, if you go to the Health and Safety Act, one of the most exciting things is the right being in the law of workers to refuse to enter dangerous work, right to be represented, right to be involved, right to information. Now, this blank check is a myth. But what the Federation must never put itself in a lull, that in a contested terrain where classes are going to contest for the space, to think that it will be given gifts by a Father Christmas called the ANC. It is going to fight for its space, it is going to open that space. That is the historic phenomenon of the working class. Ayikho working class ephiwa mabhaso. Enkosi.
Thank you, ANC. Thank you very much. I think I will allow the General Secretary, if not at SATU and the SACP, I will allow the General Secretary to come to the platform so that we really are satisfied. I do have a sense that we are beginning to repeat what we have been saying, where we agree. So the General Secretary should assist on that, and I will then come back to the hands that I've mentioned, including the one that I've just seen. GS.
Thank you, Comrade President. I think we need to just to take the gesture presented by the comrades from the ANC, that in election there is no free lunch. Even ordinary members, when they vote for a party, they vote because they expect something in return. So there's nobody that just vote without expecting anything. Equal, that's what we're saying. We're not going to, must not, in my view, even engage on that issues. It's natural cause that when you vote for somebody, you want something in return. It has been the language that Comrade Comrade National Chairperson, when he was sitting there in the NUM, he was saying the same thing. Comrade, in the issues that you have raised, we wanted just to allow the Congress to separate issues in the manner that has been proposed. The first, Comrade, there was a proposal, and I'm coming to this because SAC to talk about it. Nihau suggested, comrade, that the state power is a matter that is continuously engaging, has no year. The election for 2019 is a limited one. Let's separate the two, if I had them correct. Okay. Now, the suggestion from SAC2 was that the resolution that stands alone on general election be migrated to that resolution on 1.3. And the resolution on 1.3 is the one that deals with, on book 4, is the one that deals with the SACP and the state power. And there has been amendment that has made, first were made by Nihau, I think now are seconded by SAC2 in relation to the special Congress, the political task team, that those we delete. There's also a proposal that was made that the issues of quotas be deleted. I'm raising this so that the union who sponsors this respond to the proposal made on their resolution. So we delete the special Congress, the political task team. There's been proposal to rework the resolution made by SAC2 in terms of bullet 4 being splitted into 2. And we will ask those unions that have sponsored those resolutions to come back so that we can be able to know where the position or the resolution as it reads, how it stands in relation to those issues. I think those are the issues, comrade, in our view, that may need your clarity so that the unions who sponsor the resolution respond to the amendment or proposal so that we can move forward on those issues. We will not summarize on the other issue because other issues on the resolution are clear, comrade.
Thank you, Comrade GS. You know, the problem, I can't call the GS to order. I can only say to the ANC, you are protected. You cannot be reminded what we have said before when we were at another platform and you are representing the ANC now. I'm sure the affiliates will indicate whether they want to respond. I mean, they want to clarify the areas the GS is mentioning around the resolutions they have sponsored. But I want to check with the SAT2 whether you want to come in still. Because I want us to proceed now to the next set of the reports.
Thank you, President. As the South African Democratic Teachers Union, we have a very simplistic view of what the NDR is. And because maybe sometimes when we define these things, we use a lot of Marxist jargon, and it ends up getting confused. Now, as such, we view the NDR as a class alliance that is necessary to defeat an enemy, but equally, not to make to allow the enemy not to defeat us. That's what we need, an NDR. Now, given the history of our country, we think that the National Democratic Revolution still remains a valid minimum program to achieve socialism. However, it is no accident, therefore, President, that women, for example, are expecting that the National Democratic Revolution in its practicalities must cure the gender and class oppression they face daily. It is expected. Also, workers expect that in its practicalities, the National Democratic Revolution must be saving them from the contradictions of class and racial oppression they face daily in the workplace. It is therefore no accident that when we come to this Congress, ourselves, as workers, we are saying we want a major stake. We want a major stake, and I think that's what the ANC is not missing. That's not what the ANC is missing. Yet, what characterizes the National Democratic Revolution today? Where are we going with this National Democratic Revolution? I want to raise 4 issues very quickly. The issues that the ANC is not getting it, and I think we must emphasize this matter. I think there's a point of order or something, I don't know.
Is it an order, SABC?
It is a point of order, President. We apologize for raising it. We shouldn't apologize, but we think what is being asked from the table is for the sponsors of the resolutions to confirm or to decline the summary that the General Secretary has given on the reconfiguration of the resolutions. It's not a re-debate.
Okay, let me do this because I had noted Cosatu before calling in the General Secretary, so that there is comfort on that one. On the aspect of the response, I would really want to hear comrades also talking to that, which is possibly why Cosatu raises it. If Cosatu could be able to respond to that, but also that the contribution you wanted to make in terms of the debate and the resolution, you try to do that, Cosatu. So I both sustain the order, but cognizant of that fact.
No, thanks, President. We were on what characterizes the National Democratic Revolution today, in our own opinion, and the way we think they were taking this National Democratic Revolution. We're raising that we should be asking the question, is society still confident about the leadership of the African National Congress or not? Issues of money and corruption that are daily in the news, general discipline that is declining within the movement, demagoguery and populism that is characterizing the movement, the ill discipline of the youth that is now characteristic of a society, including the killing of teachers by small boys who are supposed to be learning in class, who think that criminals should be their heroes. Do our people still have this confidence? And that's the thrust of why we're raising. Is the National Democratic Revolution still on course or not? And I think that's the question that we want the ANC perhaps to respond to. Not a definition of what the NDR is. Because that is something that we all know. Are we still on course with this National Democratic Revolution? And the question that we want to raise, first of all, is that we think that as SABC, we think that we need to emphasize the matter of going back to basics, including the matters of political education, that remains a strong and potent weapon to transform the quality of leadership that we have. Am I still out of order, President?
Tishomkulu. Yeah. Because there are 2 things I want to understand you on. I want to understand you talking to a specific resolution within the context of the debate as presented, or what SABC is reminding us on what the GS has presented. Because all what we want to do now is to want us to close the section now so that we move on. Yeah, it's just that area is a guidance. If there is none of that from what you are to say, I would indeed beg you to take the seat.
No, thanks, President.
Sure.
We were taking advantage of the fact that you recognized us before the summary of the GS. However, we accept your intervention and will then agree, President. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for it. SACP, of course, Covered, thanks. Satau? Covered. Thanks very much. Communication Workers Union? Communication Workers Union? Covered.
Sikhona Mongameli.
Okay.
Thank you. President, I think the summary by the General
Oh, is it an order, NUM? Okay, because I've noted you here, thought you wanted a show. Communications, in that context that I've raised earlier, Communication Workers Union, when I was talking to Cosatu.
Yebo Mongameli, ngeke ashaya uvalo ngicabanga ukuthi MTN NUM ikholi order ngakaqali. But nevertheless, with regards to a summary made by the General Secretary and what has been sponsored by Textile, we think that it is enhancing what we have proposed initially by also removing or under the resolved bullet points C. As it says that, I think Cosatu put it very well, that we don't want to reconfigure the alliance in a form that we want to make it a platform to have a way to get to parliament and to appoint it and so forth from the alliance. We don't want that. What we want, and we want to emphasize this point, and we must remind the African National Congress, and I will take this opportunity, that Amica Cabral says that always bear in mind that people do not or are not fighting for the things that are in everyone hates. They are fighting to win material benefits, to live better in peace, to see their life going forward, to guarantee the future of their children. And therefore, that's where the issue of a blank check must enter. And we must emphasize, President, that the issue that the African National Congress is reflecting to the labor broker, it was not given on a silver platter. We went to the streets. We suffered no work, no pay. Workers were dismissed before it went to the legislation. So the African National Congress have no right to come and stand here and say, this is what we have gained throughout the alliance. Never. It was workers' fight that took it to the street. We demanded the NHI. We found this life as a demand. And the African National Congress must sit down on this matter and listen to workers when we raise these issues. So we want to say the reconfiguration of the alliance must have beneficiary material benefits to the workers first and foremost. We must make sure that the SOEs do not retrench. We must make sure that the government do not take the coffers of the public funds into their own pockets. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Communication. From NUM and Nehau, I hope they are coming to move the overall thrust of the reports on the political side. NUM first.
Thank you, President. You are right to say that we must follow to say we must move. Actually, we wanted to move that summary that was made by GS, in addition to saying that we cannot exclude ourselves not to saying that the counteract that we are facing from our triple BEE is a main challenge that we are facing today. We understand when the former SG saying that we are having tools in our hand to use, but he must not forget too to saying that the deployees that were deployed to go and assist us, they are the ones that are giving us problems today. The whole mines, they've got tenders in these mines.
They are the ones that are now dictating terms to make sure that trade unions are get killed. So we cannot forget to inform or maybe to advise him to understand that. It's not to say that that tools that we are having, we cannot utilize them. But our triple BEE is the problem to us. Thank you. We have moved it.
Thank you very much, NUM. Nehau.
President, we are supporting the move on the basis of the summary made by the General Secretary, except one point which he did not cover or understood as a saying. President, we don't want general election to remain as a standalone. We want it to be under SACP and state power in the format that the rephrasing made by clothing textile. Otherwise, our resolution will be a duplication. That's what we're saying. And the last point, President, maybe we should suggest that the Congress, as it proceeds, must consider a special resolution on the collusion which is linked to the election, which has not been thoroughly engaged now. But we are moving.
Thank you very much. We do have a full endorsement of those discussions and the resolutions emerging out of that. I'm looking back to the Secretariat and the next area of work or next course of action. Ucela igwijo. So izwi lami lishile manje. Naziya.
Masa.
Thank you very much. Yes. At this point, I will invite the Deputy General Secretary to take us through the next part of our report, the organizational.
Thank you very much, President. Our organizational report, comrade, is Book 3. As per the agreement, we are going to try and present the summary of the executive report. The organizational report has got almost about 403 pages. We will try, President, to make it my apology, President, it's hot here. Comrade, without any waste of time, the organizational report, the summary reads as follows, and we're following it as it is in the report. The organizational development experience has taught us that if a union or a federation has a clear goals, but no policies or strategies for activity to achieve them, it will be inactive. If it has a clear goals and policies and strategy but lacks the capacity to implement them, it will also be inactive. If the union or the federation does not have the capacity to implement its policy and the strategy, but the policy or strategies themselves are wrong, the organizational will also be inactive in achieving the goals. That's our introduction, President, in terms of the organizational report, the summary. We are reporting to this Congress that number of programs have been executed based on the 5 pillars, which include the following. Pillar number 1, organizational building and development, which also include building unity with the federation, within the unions, and with the other federation. Pillar number 2, back to basic campaign, building the fighting capacity of Cosatu through campaigns and the workplace struggle. Pillar number 3, tightening the struggle against neoliberalisms. Pillar number 4, shaping the battle of the ideas and asserting the hegemony of the revolutionary working class ideas, making use of education, organizing, media work. Number 5, the international work, which includes the international solidarity. We are reporting to this Congress that under review of the 3 years since 2015, the Federation has remained true to her principles and policies. It shows in our report we remain the leading militant, radical, uncompromised, and a campaign trade union federation in the country and in Africa continent in general. By the 12th National Congress, we had challenges. As you remember that NUMSA was dismissed, followed by FAU, disaffiliated with the Federation. In the same way, by the time we go to a central committee, unions, SASAU and the football union could no longer comply with Cosatu constitution to be the union in good standing. The membership of these 2 unions combined is less than 10,000. Our CEC, comrade, as we go to the we are in the 13th National Congress, our membership with challenges has declined between 1.5 and 1.6 million. Our CEC have become a platform, robust engagement based on the respect for the principle and democratic centralism which instruct once a decision has been taken through a democratic process, that decision must be implemented. Many of our unions have applied. Many of the unions have applied for affiliation to Cosatu, and the CEC has accepted one of the union, which is called the South African Emergency Personal Union, SAIP, as one of our Cosatu new union. Many of the unions have applied and they are still being assessed whether they comply with the Cosatu constitution. This is coming with its own contradiction, which included the fact that some of these unions are breakaway unions from the existing Cosatu unions. Challenges confronting the Federation, comrade, you will remember, the Congress will remember the same union that I spoke about, NUMSA and FAU, we still have a challenge of litigation. Cosatu is no longer characterized by legal warfare and internal paralysis that marked the Federation in run-up to the last Congress. However, the Federation still has outstanding cases with NUMSA and FAU with regard to the outstanding fees. Declining of our membership. Cosatu members has declined from the previous number of the Congress from 2.5 million to 1.6 or 1.5 or 1.6 million. Today, with the loss of NUMSA and FAU, as well as the smaller unions, SASAU and SAIPO, football union, with SATAU, SEPAU, and other unions of Cosatu losing their members, losing membership. And active membership driven in needed by this union, in particular all unions in general. Dedicated efforts are needed to support SATAU, SEPAU, NUM, and SAMU. SAMU alone, comrades, under the review or the period of the last Congress, it has lost almost about 30,000 members. Provinces needed an activity development plan, membership recruitment programs targeting industrial union and private sector workplace. Unions have focused their efforts on the 26% unionized workers and leave almost about unorganized 74%. Challenges in our unions. Many unions continue to recruit in each sector and violate the Cosatu policy position on one union, one industry, one country, one federation. Some of the key challenges facing the affiliates include the following: weak financial state of the federation caused by the union who undermine the principle and paid up membership, the federation which has neither a resource capacity nor authority to intervene in affiliation, lack of activisms across the federation, there is uneven quality of service given to the membership, minimum recruitment of new membership, declining membership in the industrial union with the potential of changing the character of Cosatu, and changing a demographics in union membership, the weak link with the affiliates, inability to support the intervening affiliates, weak provincial structures, weak local structures, lack of the new strategy to deal with the changing of the workplace, business unionism, non-implementation of the intervention strategy to identify the challenges. With working with the unions, we have challenges focusing on SAMU, SATAU, and SEPAU. The three affiliate challenges over the past few years are well known and they are there in the report, comrades. They have been wrecked by internal leadership division, purpose purges, breaking away, fight over the resources, declining membership, delayed consequences, and etc. For the long period that the leadership refused to engage Cosatu on solving their crisis, Cosatu eventually agreed to establish a task team with Cosatu to take them to the Congress and work on the rebuilding the union. As we speak here, comrade, by the time we finalize the report to this Congress, we are safely report that finally Sipau and Satau have gone to their national Congress and they are here with the national leadership elected democratically from their Congress. SAMU today is the only affiliate of Cosatu which is not in good standing and continuously facing challenges. I'm sure we have seen what happened, the decision that the Congress took yesterday with the comrade being in this meeting as observers, but allowed to speak. Pillar on 5 organizing pillar of Cosatu work, organizing, building and development, which also including the building of the unity of the federation within and with other federations. State of our locals. Comrade, we are reporting about the state of our local. You will see from page 203 to 403, you will see the report of our provinces and our locals, including our affiliates in provinces, that they are facing a number of challenges, and the state of our affiliates in those provinces, and some of the province affiliates not attending or not being active in Cosatu activities in the provinces. Organizing and recruitment turnaround strategy. We are in the process of implementing the organizing and recruitment strategy adopted by the CEC in November 2016 by focusing on developing and implementing a program on building the fighting capacity of Cosatu engine through campaigns and workplace struggle. The work we are doing on implementing going back to basic listening campaign through the workplace meeting has shown that workers still have confidence in Cosatu. The turnaround strategy is showing a good result in the short term through the support provided by Cosatu to our unions and the Central Executive Committee under those unions that are facing an attack. As we come to the Congress, comrade, number of unions, comrade, which including Nehau, SATU, have recruited number of workers, in particular Nehau recruiting community health workers close to 3,700 in Sidibeng only. And SATU recruited educators close to 400 and something. But many other unions, comrade, in terms of the report from the provinces, it shows that the turnaround strategy, it does work for Cosatu. On new application for the affiliation to Cosatu, we have received number of the union application requesting affiliation to Cosatu, but the problem, comrade, is that most of these unions are the breakaway from our unions. For an example, SAMU, there are almost about 3 unions that have break away from SAMU. Satau, there are almost about 2. 3 also, the Tau, Reatusa, and MTN. All these unions, comrade, they want to come back to Cosatu. Some, they are saying they don't want to form new union. They would want Cosatu national leadership to engage with their unions. They want to come back to their union. Some, comrade, forms NGOs, and NGOs, comrades, not a union. We think that this Congress must allow or engage on the approach to engage those workers. Unity and solidarity support for the affiliates. Solidarity support within amongst unions has been a difficult resolution to implement, but we have seen an improvement by implementing the proposal made in the COC meeting. The proposal on unity and solidarity are goal-orientated, and we agree that this part of the building should be part of the building of the Federation. We saw many of the unions of Cosatu when NUM was facing a tragedy in the mining industry. Many of the unions of Cosatu were there when we went to the Chamber of Mine. It has changed now, Mineral of Council, some sort. We went there with some of the unions of Cosatu to make a sit-in there to force some of the employers to agree that workers must celebrate or allowed to mourn without any loss of pay. Gender, Cosatu gender work, comrade, in the report we are reporting about the gender work that Cosatu is continuously, comrade, both international and locally, to do the work of the gender in South Africa, particularly based on the fight against the gender-based violence, fight against the sexual harassment, and many other activities that are there in the report, comrade. The Congress took a decision, comrade. The Congress took a decision to establish the previous Congress to establish the young workers. We are reporting, comrade, that on the 20 to the 22nd April 2018, under the theme promoting the rights and diversity of the young workers in the workplace and trade union, we have established the young workers, and they are very clear, they are here, that they are not a constitutional structure, they are a substructure of Cosatu. Going back to basic campaign, building the fighting capacity of Cosatu through the campaigns and the workplace struggle. We are reporting, comrade, that in the year under review, we had, comrade, the Federation has undertook a number of campaigns which coordinated and driven by the provinces and included the national leadership, the Central Executive Committee. In the period under review, we had full house of Moretele Park in 2016, which coincided with the year of not the general election, of the local government election. The following May Day, held in Mangau, could not be proceeded due to the alliance challenges. This year, the National May Day was celebrated in the Eastern Cape, Port Elizabeth, in Nelson Mandela, which was successful. The Federation also, comrade, took a number of the campaigns, including a very big march of the 27th September 2017 against the state capture and corruption. Workplace visit campaign. Leaders are attending workplace meeting to hear and address members' concern, doing the report back and clarifying the campaigns of Cosatu. Part of our campaign, comrade, on the local government election, Cosatu assessment on the local government election, and the report provided narrative assessment on how the campaign unfolded. The report noted that the decline in the ANC electoral support, including the lesson in the certain strategic metros such as Nelson Mandela, Bay, the Johannesburg Metro, and Tshwane, where the ANC has lost. The report also highlighted the fact that majority of the people who would have potential voted for the ANC did not come out to vote. As a result of the above, some voters who have been reliable voters of the ANC decided to stay home, or for other party through other loyal to the ANC decided to abstain, and the vote turn was very poor. At the time of coming here, comrade, to the Congress for the 2019 election, the organized department of Cosatu is busy building or finalizing the election campaign and the program, which some of us here, CEC members, participated in the 10-11 March registration. Recruitment, servicing, and retention of their membership. Comrade, we have reported in the report that our turnaround strategy talks about 3 critical issues: recruitment, servicing, and retention of membership. The Cosatu recruitment program is part of implementing the turnaround strategy on the recruitment, service, and retention of the membership. We need to have an honest discussion on why our membership has not grown. What must be done to help the weak union? What will each union do to recruit the unorganized workers? We must also report, comrade, that after FAU left Cosatu, the CEC of Cosatu took a decision that they are not going to establish a new union, but those workers who did not want to leave Cosatu should be organized under SACTU and SACAU. And these unions are doing a very good work in terms of recruiting those workers. Part of the socio-economic, comrade, which is one of our campaign, unemployment continued to rise with the standing of the 36%. This is the highest for the youth. Wages continue to be suppressed. Workers continue to bear the brunt and stagnant economy. As part of responding to these challenges, Cosatu campaigned for the radical economic transformation through our demands of Job Summit. Without going into detail, comrade, you will recall that Cosatu Central Executive Committee took a decision to apply for Section 77 on the economic crisis. We must report to the ANC, Comrade Enoch, that the President convening the National Job Summit was on the basis of the call by Cosatu, not by government. So that Job Summit must bring results for workers, not for government and not for employers. In the period under review, comrade, we have applied for a number of Section 77. One of them is the independent power produce on the IPPs. Section 77 on the free education, state capture and corruption, total banning of the labor brokers. Umandashi, the national chair, says Cosatu was nowhere in fighting these labor brokers, if I've listened him correct. But you must read our organizational report. You will see the victories of unions of Cosatu that are here, in particular the communication workers, for fighting, taking the matter to labor court against the MTN. If you read that report, you will see the victories of workers in relation to some of these labor brokers. But also to say that the labor broker constitutional court, it was not NUMSA that took the matter to court. It was the labor broker themselves. Unfortunately, the constitutional court ruled against them. Retrenchment and job losses, economic crisis, water crisis in Western Cape, the non-trading public holidays, and the anti-crime and corruption campaign, a campaign on the attack against union control in the retirement funds. President, we must report, I know that this matter is a matter that still have to take the process of government. But in the alliance, comrade, we are great and we hope that comrades who are representing us in parliament, those who are here from the ANC, they are going to make sure that come 2019 May Day, Election Day, Freedom Day, will be treated as non-trading public holidays. On pillar number 3, tightening the struggle against the new liberalization, the socio-economic demands have been advanced, which include Cosatu long-standing socio-economic demands such as the living wage, fighting the retrenchment, and defending the jobs, fighting against the signing of the IPPs, demanding the free education, demanding the national health insurance, demanding the comprehensive social security system, demanding the strategic nationalization in some sectors of the economy, demanding an accessible, affordable, safe, reliable integrated public transport and the scrapping of the e-toll, the banning of the labor brokers, demanding a stoppage in sourcing. Provinces have successfully held their provincial congresses. Comrade, as you see in the report, the campaigns fighting remains the high level despite the challenges we are going through. For example, the 2017-2018 report in the industrial action released by the Department of Labor shows that Cosatu union, comrade, were the majority of those unions who went to the street and fight for the issues of workers. Labor shows that 960,888 working days lost due to the industrial dispute in 2017. This represents a 1% increase in the number of the working days lost from 946,323 working days lost in 2016, with a total of 122 strikes, and all of them were Cosatu unions. The report also shows that the public sector saw more working days lost than the private sector stoppage in 2017, e.g. health, social services strike. In terms of the trade union membership participation, Nehau and SAMU recorded the highest membership participants at 29.07%. Cosatu program for June to November included the rolling out of workshop on organizing the vulnerable and informal workers in the province, followed up by the recruitment blitz, which is part of the recommendation of the R204. The work that we've been doing, comrade, in the legislative achievement, we are reporting to this Congress key legislative engagement, both victories and going battles. Cosatu has been engaged at Parliament and NETLEC, including the Unemployment Insurance Amendment Bill, which we have today, comrade, that even the stillborn are allowed to claim their insurance fund. The National Minimum Wage and Base Condition of Employment Amendment Bill. The President says of the ANC yesterday, says that Cosatu was run away to this victory. It's not true. We have been publicly, comrade, talking about this victory on our own. Whether people were attacking us or not, that were sellout, but as the President was indicating, over 6 million vulnerable workers are going to benefit. And we're agreed with the President that the day he's going to sign the national minimum wage into law, we must have a launching with farm workers in the Western Cape, comrade, the General Secretary of SACTU. The Labour Relation Amendment Bill, the Labour Laws Amendment Bill, Competition Amendment Bill, Carbon Tax Bill, Extension of Tenure Security of the Amendment Bill, the Restitution of Land Rights Amendment Bill, Preservation and Development of the Agricultural Land Bill, Regulation and the Land Holding Bill, Agricultural Development Bill, Critical Infrastructure Protection Bill, Protection Disclosure Amendment Bill, Traditional Coal Bill, Courts Bill, Public Investment, National Credit Amendment Bill, Basic Educational Laws, Border Management Authority, Foreign Service Bill, Mining Health and Safety Bill, Mineral Resource and Petroleum Development Amendment Act Bill, Communal Land Bill, Liquor, there are many, comrade, the National Traffic Amendment Bill, Road Accident Fund Bill, Health Promotion Levy, Sugar, Sweetheart Provision, Beverages Tax, Political Party Funding. All this work, comrade, is the work that we are doing as Cosatu at the Parliamentary Office. Further work done by the Federation Decent Work Agenda, implementing of the recommendation of the 204 on the formalizing the informal economy. Pillar number 4, shaping the battles of the idea and asserting the hegemony of the revolutionary working class ideas, making use of the education, organizing, and media work. Communication have spent the last 3 years working to ensure maximum coverage for the Federation activities and also repositioning the Federation itself to rely on its internal capacity and communication tools, to rely on its messages. So we are reporting, comrade, that our communication department, in terms of that pillar number 4, is the work that we've been doing in making sure that we popularize the Federation. The media and communication sectors are experiencing unprecedented changes and evolution in the last 21st century. These days, to analyze the media, we need to partition the traditional from the new media. Even the scholars are still trying to better understanding the massive changes and the transformation occurring across the media sector. Audience members are more empowered than any other time. The recommendation that we have been making, comrade, for the media is the budget training, the capacity building, planning in language, provincial work, internal communication, technological innovation and new media, internet and electronic communication, and medializing. On education, comrade, we are reporting that we have been doing work as per the resolution of the 2013 on the worker education, among others, provided and affiliates must have at least 10% minimum provision of workers' education. We must follow the model in accreditation that is used, both accredited and unaccredited models. Need to ensure the worker and note the state control on worker education. Improve on collaboration with all the labor service organizations. Cosatu and its affiliates must be strong on the SETA to ensure its proper funding. Crisani Brigade must permanently features on the educational program. Leakage to be created between mass education and organizing. The key challenges include lack of funds versus the available national funds, proper affiliation, shop steward preparation, poor attendance of the training programs, model of accreditation, skill development and transformation, high education funding, and the realization of the fruits of the free education, basic educational infrastructure norm and standard. Pillar number 5, international work, which include the international solidarity. Key campaigns include working with Swaziland, Venezuela, Western Sahara, Cuba, and Palestine. Progress since the 2012 National Congress, comrade President. The African Trilateral Cooperation Conference, Cosatu, including Nigeria and TUC and Ghana. Cosatu International School, SATUC Congress in 2017, and the election of our second deputy president as the president of SATUC. Hosting the BRICS Trade Union Forum in 2018 in South Africa, towards Cosatu International Summit on the future of the trade union, international and our strategy, focus on the 4th industrial revolution, future of work, international strategy and its implication for our capacity and the current funding model. We also reporting in our organizational report about the WFTU and the ITCU. On administration, comrade, we are reporting that there have been an instance where the Federation has not been able to fulfill some of the vacancies because of availability. Our recruitment process is open to everyone, but the Federation seems to be attracting the African more than any other racial group. The trends in the demographics of the staff complement shows that by 2024, we will have over 20 comrades qualifying for pension, and it is therefore important to put in place effective which include transferring the knowledge and the skills to the young workers. The staff numbers turnover is generally stable, with the Federation and comrades volunteered to resign, most of them. Their reason for resigning is a career development. We currently have 12 vacancy positions. As indicated above, the Federation is struggling to attract the qualified, affordable candidates on top of the financial constraint and faced by the Federation make it difficult to fill some of the position. Cosatu demand, we have 80 department, Cosatu department, we have 80 department comrades in the Federation. Secretariat, accounting, HR, communication, international department, organizing, education, policy unit, parliamentary office, and provinces. All of them, comrade, in the report, you are able to see the work that they are doing on that work, in terms of their work. Now, comrade, as we conclude our presentation, the organizational report, we are also reporting that as we discuss the organizational report, take the amendment of the Constitution, which is part of the resolution committee. From what comrade from SACT was saying, it was supposed to be in the organizational report. On that note, Comrade President, I want to submit and present the organizational report, the summary of the report to the Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade DGS. You all have book 3. It's 400 pages. So you then understand that was a very great summary that the DGS has done in the period. We will not discuss it now. I will quickly ask the Treasurer to present the financial report. We will discuss all at the same time. Sihlangene vele iyo lebe nginishaya ngayo ngithi nibamba ama 3 rand nje efanele ngabe ze Cosatu.
Thank you, Comrade President.
The Deputy President Welly Musa ulahla imali la ngazofika uphethene ekhaya. Comrade akhona Dweba.
Thank you, Comrade President. Good afternoon, Congress. We have a summary of the financial report. This finance report provides an analysis of Cosatu's finances status for proceeding from 2015 to 2017, which present also the annual financial statements. And we will also give a brief summary on the Federation's financial performance for the period under review. The Federation's financial position on assets base has remained a constant decline due to depreciation, and also one of the major assets, like the building, during the period of inception when we move into the new building, Also the computer equipment and lease of vehicles. Therefore, no major assets disposal other than the vehicles was then written off at that time. The auditors have expressed an opinion on these financial statements based on the audit in accordance with the international standards of auditing. They raised their opinions, and there was 3 qualified opinions from the auditors. And one of it was, which we had to respond to as Cosatu. The 3 opinions of the Senate was in the past, due to the nature of the environment and the limit of scope of the audit, which makes it difficult to satisfy its completeness in transaction 1, was the issue of the income of donations. The second one is how we received our affiliation fees. The third one was in the manner that the affiliates or the unions give their total membership. So on the donations, as head office, we could not say much because sometimes in the provinces they get donations. And according to as the auditors, they were happy with the finances of Cosatu, but the Federation has gone under tremendous stress. 1, we had a shortfall every month, 1.5 every month. The reason for the shortfall every month is the non-payment of affiliation fees. The second one was the decline in membership. So comrades, if we look at our affiliation membership for the period of 2015, 2016, and 2017. And then remember, Comrade Congress, some of them have fallen along the way. During the financial period under review, I said already there was a decline, and the decline was 11% at that period. There was also a result of disaffiliation. One was NUMSA. The second one was SASAU. The third one was the football players. And then in that, we then get a new baby on the block, which was LEMUSA. So for this 3 years, comrades, Cosatu was bleeding. And the bleeding continued. Our primary revenue or income, Comrade Congress, is affiliation fees. It is the subs. Cosatu have no sponsor or donor that sponsor us or donate anything. We had a practical problem when we look at the political levy for the non-payment of the political levy. We were then advised as Cosatu to change the name of the political levy to a solidarity levy. The name was changed. Not much have been done. We still have affiliates that don't pay at all solidarity levy. What's the use for the solidarity levy? It is one, our May Day, and then we have our subsectors, which is SACP, the Krizani Institute, COSAS, and those that we are supporting. Then we have another levy, election levy. The election levy is only for that year when there's elections. And that is to help us with the campaigns that we are running. Some of the affiliates up till now did not pay the election levy, and there's still monies outstanding. Under sundry income, miscellaneous income, depending on its nature, but usually it's recoverable through the disposals when we maybe sell the cars or the vehicles. Donations received, and we can see, comrades, in this thing is leaving me in the lurch. This fourth industrial revolution makes nonsense, ne? So we can see on page 5, comrades, under donations from 2015 to 2017, what was happening. And we can see, comrades, we start with our affiliation fees. Look at 2015, look at 2016, but also take into comparison 2017. It's only a few rands. Then we go to the solidarity levy, and it looks like it remains the same, because certain people, certain affiliates feel that they don't need to pay affiliation fees, solidarity levy, election levy, and then the sundry income, and then we look at our donations received. Then in the next paragraph, paragraph 2, we identify what happened between affiliation rate 2015 to 2017. So in 2015, affiliates were supposed to pay R3.09. In 2016, it was R3.39. In 2017, R3.59. And if we go to page 6, there's a graph that shows us what is really going on in Cosatu. And if we look at the expenditure analysis, we can show as Cosatu in the columns from 2015 to 2016 to 2017, what is happening. Let us take staff cost. In 2015, there's an increase of 32%, 2016, 36%, in 2017, 30%. Activities expenses, and what we currently do as Cosatu now, we piggyback on the affiliates' backs, especially when it comes to campaigns. Operating expenses, province activities expenses, and then, comrades, there's something that we need to identify, because the media is already running with it, where they get that incorrect report. We just want to rectify it and say, in 2017, we had a surplus. And the media is running with a campaign to say that in 2017, we had a deficit of 16 million. We did not have a deficit, we had a surplus in 2017. So media, we want to rectify it, and please rectify it, because you put a negative impact on Cosatu. If you don't know, come and ask us. We will give you the correct information. And we are not shy as Cosatu to say that we went under tremendous stress. Comrades, we also have a liability, we also have creditors, and we also had lease liability. But as Cosatu, we bite the bullet. And for those that was in Cosatu House already, if you enter Cosatu House, you see most all these TVs. And on every floor, there's a TV. And the TV is playing. Now, all that TVs, comrades, we paid for every TV in the past. 3,000 rand a month for each TV. We then bite the bullet. We decided to bite the bullet. And we buy that service provider out. We buy it out. So now currently the assets belongs to Cosatu. It is for us to take care of it. But comrades, it doesn't mean because we have saved there a 480,000 which we used to pay every month for a service provider, that we have money, because there's other things that we need to take care of. And with the shortfall that I articulated earlier, we were on our bended knees. You know, to scratch your head, how you're going to pay a staff member, the staff member's salary is a very painful process. And to look a staff member in the eye. And my phone is the highest every month in Cosatu. Sometimes I'm so shy because my phone is the highest. And later on, when I see that my phone bill is the highest, I decided to walk on my 2 feet. And then I go and visit them physically, because that's the only way you can get the money. If you go with a car, they watch you from a distance. Comrade President of Nehau, they watch you from a distance and they ignore you. But to walk on your feet is much better. So we are like debt collectors. And then we just want to give a report on the outstanding affiliates debts. From 2015 to 2017, it was SEPAU. And I can report with confidence today that SEPAU is today in good standing. They have fulfilled their promise. And thank you very much to SEPAU. They went through stress, they went to hell and back, but they came to the party. They had a successful Congress in East London, and they promised at their Congress, after 8 years, they had a Congress, and they promised to come back and to reconcile with Cosatu, and we thank SEPAU for that. We also had communications that also went through tremendous stress, but today we can say with confidence, Communication Union is in good standing, is a union in good standing of Cosatu, and we thank them for that. Also, Denosa, and then FAWU have left us, but in the case of FAWU, we have a legal action against it, because we've noticed that if the affiliates know then they want to leave Cosatu, they build up something and then they want to leave us. Then we sit with a new baby on the block called Lamusa. From 2015 to 2017, they were just growing debt. But today, saying with confidence that Lamusa is a union in good standing of Cosatu, and we hope moving forward they will remain this status. And let me go to SAMU. Comrades, from 2015, to 2017. I'm not going to talk 2018. We are in 2018 now, so I'm not talking 2018. SAMU is a union, is the only union of Cosatu currently not in good standing. We had a task team of Cosatu. We interacted with SAMU. They make so many promises. In a CEC, Comrade Zola was the partner next to me. We're going to pay with immediate effect. And Comrade Zola was harassing me. Hey, Treasurer, this people is going to pay. Up till today, they never paid. And Comrade Zola is so shy for his partner because it was his partner at that time. So, Comrade Congress, we have a matter at hand. And in the last CEC, the CEC took a decision to say that we will have to take legal action against SAMU as Cosatu. The SAMU members is here, and as the comrades can remember, yesterday we have sat with a scenario, but we cannot punish the members for what the leadership is doing wrong, because the members pays the membership fees. But I want to encourage you, follow your money. I want to encourage you again, follow your money as members. Satau also had a successful Congress over the weekend, and they come up with new leadership, and we want to congratulate them. But also from 2015 to 2017 Congress, Satau was also one of the unions that was not in good standing. But today I can say with confidence, Satau is a union in good standing of Cosatu. Sasau Comrade Congress, we as Cosatu decided not to follow this matter because the money that we're going to pay for the lawyers is more than this money that they owe us as Sasau. So on that basis, we didn't want it to follow that money. So Comrade Congress, in the document is all our audited financial statements, which was adopted in the CEC, which means we are a federation as a going concern. Even though we went through a very difficult period of this big shortfall, but as I can report, as I'm standing here as the National Treasurer of Cosatu, saying we only have one affiliate that is not in good standing, but as this Congress are sitting, all unions are in good standing except for the union affiliate called SAMU. So therefore, Comrade President, I submit.
Gubi, 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 oh. Siyaya, siyaya. Sithi gubi, gubi, gubi. Siyaya, siyaya. No, my best retreasure. Best pulala, siyaya. Mandla. Thank you very much, Comrade Treasurer. I think you need to give yourselves and the Treasurer a huge round of applause. Ngisho lento as an outgoing president of this federation. You've dead the odds. Doomsayers, detractors, those who have written books, obituaries, holding seminars in big universities of this country. Professors with very, very long names have been holding symposia. They've been crisscrossing the country. They've gone even throughout the world. In my speech, I left a session where I was appreciating and thanking our fraternal organizations in the continent and throughout the world, who most of them have been approached by other people who were saying, no, forget that Cosatu is gone, dead, buried by Stumo Dlamini and his ilk. Give us money so that we build and create our own new thing. I thank those fraternal organizations and their leaders for they were not misled by those frivolous, mischievous requests where people were wanting to get money to build their own things, but they were using Cosatu's name. Thank you again, comrades. Continue to be Cosatu's ambassador wherever you are in the world. We're 33 years old. 33 years down the line, we'll be 66 years old. 33 years further, 99 years old. This Cosatu, with these members. So, angivuli speech, bengibonga njengoba Treasurer has laid matters bare. We have challenges, serious challenges and difficulties, and we are working to fix them. Where we are right now, that is the product of that work. So we'll continue to do so, but we are an organization that is living. It's open now. We've presented 2 reports. I don't know whether you want to do a short stretch of legs going outside this release, or you want to proceed to discuss. I'm a health worker. President. Ngokha ama-subs lapha 80 rands. Hayi, inyuka ngepolice in a cap all the time. It's 1%, but not above. So uyabona utholo lami lincane kangakanani. I'm trying to suggest, looking at the time, it's 5 o'clock. I know today was going to be a short day because we have a cultural event sooner. But I know even in your history, you have not wanted cultural events to substitute the work you're doing, but culture is also important. You know, I've met a group of comrades, some from Mpumalanga, who are organizing arts and culture. They wanted to come and sing for you here for free, just for you to see what they are doing as different workers who are in the arts industry. Unfortunately, things could not materialize, and it's the work that Cosatu should take further, because CUSA is currently no more with us on how we pay tribute to that aspect of our work. Culture, Cosatu was built also by cultural activities. comrades manikhumbula kahle. So ngifuna sibreak noma ngabe nje noma kuzanithatha isikhathi eside ukubuya, but i-15 minutes inhle nje nike niyazi nibuye sibuye siqede manibuya. So we can start at past and we'll do work for about 30 minutes when you come back, and then we close for the day. Isn't that nice? Please. Anvumi. Anvumi. Fuandibo. Okay, can we do that quickly, comrades, so that we can do what health conditions demand for us? Coming back at past exactly. So you're not going far. Answer on phone. Can you meanwhile open this noise of the aircon so that we can also cool the house meanwhile, and people will be coming back shortly, we'll then deal with it. Then continue with that cultural music. Ngathi ngathi nje uthole enye echukuchukumisa umzimba.
talking. Abongile is there. Ah, in that. Yeah. Okay, apparently you need to be fast. Okay. She needs to actually puff. She needs to actually puff me just fast, Kalane. Okay. Go and put the jacket here, baby. Okay, sure. Okay, sure. Noted in that day. Where is the guest, guys? Now? Are you okay? Yeah, Kiona Iyak. Jack, where is the floor? Guys, where's the guest, Randy?
There's no guest now.
Or is, we are stood. I know, Cedric Gina. Where is Cedric? You wanna push this chair out? I am ready. They can come even if there's no guest, because the guest is not.
What do I
Yeah.
don't think. Yeah. Standing.
Where is the guys really now? Or by Lego TV? Yeah, thank you. Are they coming after the headlines, Papa? Ish, guys. Do you know Cedric Gina? Do you know Cedric Gina? Cedric Ndate? How? Not after the headlines. How? They can come, it's fine. And then they can come again at 1:45. I'll have a guest at 22. I can't hear the studio. Please up the comms a bit for me. There you go. Fuck, where's the guest? Check. Where is Jack, guys? I can hear them, don't worry. Yes, they can come to us. Ish. Fondi Naibo. How? Really? There's a guest, guys. Okay, sure. 5:30 njani zakubulala wena. Molo mhlakazi.
Molo
Kunjani?
Hayi,
Lemus befana masimfake main cup. Okay. Move a bit back, yeah. Is that fine, Director? Okay, cool. Unjani Mhlekazi? Sure. Will do. Will do. Sir Gina Limo such as General Secretary. Cool. Sulu, can't drag it land here. The monitor, please. Thank you. Perfect. Are we still audible? Like this? Cool. Sure. Are we audible saying that they're starting to sing now, Tate? Are we audible still? Okay, sure. So there's no headlines at past, eh? Okay, sure.